Wait 1 minute. 1 minute.
Got.
Before we start. Thank you. Oh my God. Buti na lang it's before we say hi. Here
Bianca,
we
pwede
go.
pa ba i-cut yun?
Pwede cut?
Oh, we can cut it post-prod naman.
Post prod. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sige.
Okay, good. At least then hindi siya naputol kasi may doorbell.
Yeah, okay. Cut
Sorry
it na
about
lang
that.
post prod. Okay, here you go, D.
Welcome to the Young Money Podcast. My name is Diana Menezes.
And I'm Vince Galongo from wheninmanila.com. And here at the Young Money Podcast, we ask the difficult question of how much do you make? It's such an uncomfortable question to ask. It's not very common in a lot of places, especially the Philippines. So,
Yes.
but it is very important to know it. It's very important if you're choosing your career path, especially with these unique jobs out there. Like there's so many jobs that we interview the people, and it's not a job they really quote unquote teach in school, right, Diana?
Correct. Most of the jobs that we do nowadays, we're not taught in school, like especially how to deal with it afterwards. It's mostly like, what do you want to be? What is your profession? And then that's where it gets stuck. We don't know how much
Yes.
we need, what we need to do to make money with it. How do we keep the money? How do we financially involve ourselves in our profession? And I think that's really important that we bring this up here. So yeah,
So here we go. I'm
so
very excited
excited.
about our next guest because he is one, and you should be excited as well if you're tuned in case you ever have an event in the future, or if you might be getting married, or what do they have here? The Sweet 16 party, things like that. Oh no,
Yeah,
no, so it's
the
not. It's the
debut.
debut. It's the debut here when the
Mm,
girl is 18, right?
right.
So if you have any of those events coming up, this guy is one of, if not the top events and wedding host here in the Philippines. So I'm very excited to bring on this guest of ours. Eri Neeman is his name. So we'll talk to him about hosting events because that's not a career you usually choose in school. So let's bring him on.
Hi guys. Hi. Hello.
Hey, welcome, Eri. How are you?
Yes, good good morning. I just had an event last night, so forgive my morning voice. It was a late night. Ended
That
like I think
Wait,
we ended
wait,
at
wait.
1.
We met na before, di ba?
Yes, Diana, we met I think in Boracay years back. Years back.
Oh, cool. How
Yes,
are you
it
it's
is.
doing?
nice to see you both. I'm good. I'm good, Vince. We've known each other since way back as well. So it's nice to see you guys. Things are good. We got through a pandemic. I mean, going through a pandemic. So that's been that actually hit events pretty hard. But things are
Yes.
slowly coming back. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Mm.
tell me about it. Yeah, but things are slowly getting back, and I'm very happy for my colleagues in events because they really took a hit. We all took a hit.
But I am glad you say that you're kind of tired from your event last night because if you did not have an event you hosted last night, then mapapahiya ako saying you're one of
Oh
the top
yeah,
event hosts, right? So it's
like
only
Eri, come
fitting
on,
that
man, have an event.
it's only
Okay,
fitting
I
that you
got you.
came from an event, right?
Yeah, I got one later. I got one later as well, actually.
There you go. There you go. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we want to talk about. And we'll talk a little bit about event hosting in the pandemic, but hopefully we won't have to dig in too much because hopefully the pandemic's slowly, hopefully with vaccinations and whatnot, hopefully
Yeah,
it's
hopefully,
slowly
yeah.
going away now. So when people listen to this a year from now, hopefully they don't need that info anymore.
Yeah. No, but I mean, before the pandemic, I mean, so many different industries got hit. Events just happened to be one
Absolutely.
of them. I mean, all industries. I mean, the majority of industries got hit. That's something we never saw coming. But before that,
Mm-hmm.
it was no one really thought events would take a hit. Like, never did we.
Actually,
No one.
true.
No one saw that coming. No one saw like, oh, we're gonna go through a 2-year pandemic and we're not gonna find where. I
Mhm.
mean, no one really saw that coming. So but before that, events were just huge, were thriving. I mean, especially here,
Ah,
it's a big thing.
Absolutely. Eri, we gave a very brief intro that you're an events and wedding host. But
Sure.
maybe you could walk us through a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I've been a host for 15 years. I did entertainment for 10 years, but really decided to focus on hosting because that's really what I enjoy the most. I do focus on certain industries, mainly celebration and esports and events as well. I've been able to host all over the world for esports. Hosted different parts of the world, and for weddings, yeah, I've been featured as one of the top in the country, and that was, of course, something that was a huge, very very flattering and a huge help in my career. But yeah, I've been doing celebrations. I love hosting celebrations. It's fun. It's a really good energy. Also brand events as well, for corporate. That's something I do. But yeah, I love performing and entertaining people. And hosting definitely will give you that, if that's something, if you enjoy being on stage. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Yeah. Diana knows this as well. I mean, if you're
Yeah,
on
yeah.
stage, you get the
I can,
energy, right? You get, a crowd gives you energy. If
I
that's
can
something you
totally
like,
relate.
yeah, if a lot of people give you energy, and you enjoy that, and you thrive off that, then hosting can definitely be an avenue for you to make a living.
Okay, so I have a question. No, how did you like? Of course, I'm in the same field a little bit. No,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
just we're all in the same almost. Even Vince Dinaman a little bit. It's just that
Yes, Vince hosts as well. Yes,
yeah.
I know this.
So
Yeah.
I get we all know Naman how we started, but how did you start
I think
in this
it's
field?
it, it's not everyone says, "Oh, I want to be a host," right? I mean, it's something you
Mm,
kind of get thrown into, and then you realize you're just like, "Oh, this is you can do this."
works.
But I got thrown into someone basically asks you, "Hey, can you host this? Because you speak well, right?" That's usually like the usual thing here. You speak well. You seem to be fine. Like, can you host? And next thing you know, people give you feedback. They're like, you should be a host. Like, that was good. I'm just like, oh really? Oh, okay. So next thing you know, you do one event after another. You get referred. I think this is a very referral based industry as well. Events, because if you're good, you're good. People like you. If you're bad, you're bad.
You
They
will
will let
know.
other people. Yeah, they will. You will know, and they will let other people know. They're like, maybe it's not, because so many
Mm,
rides on an event, especially celebrations, right? If it's a wedding, that's the most special day of a person's life, two people's life. So if it's bad, you're gonna there's
you're
a
gonna
lot
find
on the line, because it's the most special day of a person's life. So that's one, especially with events like corporate events as well. A lot rides on it. Like, there's a lot of
yeah.
budget that falls into that event. The objective of that event is very very important. And it's important that you deliver. Also for esports, huge budgets poured into it, so you have to deliver so that the people who are part of that event, um, you hit the experience, and whatever goal that event has, you help in making it happen. So yeah, that's
You,
basically how I got started.
can I backtrack a little bit on
Sure.
that one, because for people out there who might want to jump into the same thing. So for you, yes, you got thrown in there, but what steps did you take? How did you eventually make it career? So yeah, the first time you're like, people said you're a great host, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess I want to do this. But then what? What happened? How did that go from there?
Then you have to understand who are the people that makes the decisions that will give you work, and those are usually productions. Those are usually events organizers, and those are usually directors. Basically, the people that make the decisions to hire a host are basically agencies. If it's a brand, it depends which industry you want to come in, right? But let's go events organizers, directors, stage managers, because the stage manager is usually the one next to you, and they'll know if you're
Mm.
good. They're like, I see, yeah, and see, I know, see, Eri. And usually they everyone has a meeting and say, we have this event. Who do we pitch, right? So
I was gonna
um,
say that
they
you will
pitch
be
it,
always
right?
picked by those people that you don't even imagine that they actually matter so
Yes,
much for your
Ye-
job.
exactly, because there's a bidding when it comes to brands. Like, they bid for the event. There are different events organizers that bid for the project, and they pitch different hosts. And sometimes they'll ask you, leave it a message, Ari, can I bid you for this event that's happening here and here? If your calendar is open, please let me know your rate. Do you have a profile? Can you let me know? I'll get on the profile in just a bit. A profile, I think, is one of the most important things, your portfolio, for any host to have. If you don't have one, you're missing a lot of opportunity, because if you do not have a profile, it's it's easy to assume for the person who wants to hire that you're not taking this career seriously. anyone who wants to be a host, you should have a profile. A profile is basically like a resume of your events, references to your work, references to how you host. If you have a reel, you really do need a reel or a video reel that shows you on the job in action, so people can get a feel of your style. And yeah, references of the events you had. I have all of this on my website that you can download off my website. So that for me, I think is the important thing. So sorry to trail off, Vince, but you have to understand the people who's giving you work, and you have to build a portfolio that shows that you have experience in this field or in this industry. And those two things are important. So what I did is I just emailed everyone in the beginning of my career. I'm just like, who's that? All right, hi, my name is Eri. I did it myself. I'm like, if you're looking thing, this is my portfolio. I would love if you would like to consider me for your host in terms of event, you can just let me know. Here's my profile, here's my thing. And you have to be very professional in terms of how to email. I think that is something that's lost in a lot of
Mm.
certain
New,
people,
new
because how you,
generation.
yeah, you know, it says, hey,
Right.
what's up, hi, here's my profile. That's it, right? But you don't understand that people, the impression you give is not just when you speak or when you host, but how you communicate with them, because you're a communicator. You know, that's what you do. And if you communicate very badly through email, that's already an impression on you. And I think that's something not everyone kind of thinks about. I'm
True.
very specific with those things. How you email, how you communicate, how you respond. Those are very important things when you're reaching out to potential clients. Because if you don't even have a subject, right? It's like, hi, love the bureau, and there's like, okay, this person, and imagine being the person in the opposite side. You're like, all right, there's no subject. Okay, the
It's
profile,
like,
all
am
right.
I really gonna spend my budget in this? Like,
Yeah, am I gonna hire this person for so and so? I don't know. You
If they
know, I
even you
mean,
open the email at that point.
yeah, I know. It's like, all right, is this spam? You know, you don't
Yeah.
know, right? So, you have to be professional in
So
that regard.
that tip on you emailed you went guerrilla marketing and just emailed everyone. I think that's great advice. Now before,
Yeah,
but you emailed your profile to allow people, so that helped out in your career. Now I want to backtrack a bit more, but before you even get a profile, how do you,
I was gonna
because
ask that.
oh sorry. So
go
yeah,
on,
how,
go on.
for the beginner hosts out there who maybe they hosted one class event and they're like everyone
Wala pang,
complimented them.
oo,
Yeah,
Yeah,
wala
and
pa silang, how do
wala
you
pa
call
silang
it?
profile other than
No,
that
walang
hosted
profile.
Christmas party
yes,
2019.
that's a
First
that's a really
time.
good question. That's a really
So
good
what can
question.
they do?
I think the most important thing, okay, that the profile and everything is when you have momentum. But if you're really getting started, if you just want to get started and really like you build a foundation as a host, nothing beats experience, I think, with anything. So you need to get
Facts.
as much events as you can. Stage time, basically stage time, because being in front of events, being in front of people, speaking in front of a public, like is like what the number one fear, right? Like it's like one of the
Absolutely.
most
Mm.
Yep.
intimidating things, because your brain, it dictates a fight or flight. Like if there's something in for someone standing in front of you, your brain says, okay, is this a threat? Should I run? Should I think? But imagine that multiplied by 100 or 1,000. You're not comfortable. Not everyone is comfortable being on stage, and it's hard to be yourself when you're faced with those emotions. And the only way to get used to that and to be natural and to really be sincere and not let that affect you is experience. You just have to get as much stage time as much as you can. And the best way to do that, simply offer, like, I can do this if you'd like. Try to find as much time to be on stage and to understand your role and what it takes to deliver. And if you have friends who have an event, if you have things, by the way, I can be a host. Start with your friends. That's how it starts with business,
Mm.
right? You start with your circle. If you guys need a host, please let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Um, and one thing that I think hosts need to really do is if you can capture. And right now, there's no excuse because you have an iPhone. All phones have video. Always capture footage of you hosting in a professional way. Just get a nice tripod or anything. And if you can't ask the videographer to request for footage. That's what I did. I said, bro, because I saw the cameraman, bro. Is it okay if I come over and I just, maybe just I'll bring my hard drive and I can borrow the footage, and then I edit it myself and then put together a reel. Then I'll just bring pizza or like donuts as a thank you. But now it's so easy to do that because a lot of phone has really just, really, really good quality video. Just have a friend with you, or even just bring your own tripod and just make sure that no one gets it. I'll
Mm,
just put my tripod here, make sure it's a really good angle, and just video the entire thing of you hosting. And next thing you know, you have a reel. Do that 2 or 3 times, you have a reel because you're just going to capture 30 seconds, or maybe 10 seconds and put it together. Hire an editor off Fiverr to put together a reel for you, and you're good. You have a professional reel, which not many hosts really have. But yeah, you do that by just getting as much events as you can. I did that by doing open mics. I did radio. I did stand-up comedy. I did that for about 6 years. I did improv. Improv was a huge thing. I did that with Spit. And yeah, I spent so much of my time being on stage that eventually I got really comfortable, because you can't really teach experience, right?
that's
You
true.
have to do it. So that for me is the foundation of building your career as a host, because first and foremost, if you have the best portfolio, even if it looks really good, even if you're really professional, at the end of the day, you have to be good. You have to be
Yeah.
good enough. Because if not, then like if you're marketing a product and the product's not even good, right? Then you'll be like, all right, like that's that. So you have to be good enough first and foremost before all these portfolios, before all of these things. And you only do that by getting on stage as much as you can and
Getting
getting as much
experience.
experience as you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ari, I want to backtrack a little bit on what you
Sure.
said about how come, like people, I think people don't realize how important it is. Those people behind the camera or behind the whole event,
Yeah.
that they make the decisions, and a lot of people don't realize that. So may I just share? No, I had this experience where I was hosting something together with someone who. Am I Did I freeze?
Uh,
Am
You
I
froze.
freezing?
We can still hear you, but yeah, your camera froze a
Let
bit.
me ask.
So just
yeah.
get your question out
Did
first,
I
D.
freeze?
D.
I think it was
Yes.
maybe she's just
Okay.
jittering. Yeah.
I'll
It's a bit
I'll
of a
Yep. I
move
think
to
she
the
froze out.
I'll move to the phone again. This is happening to me
Yeah,
no
too.
yeah, you
worries.
do that.
Dito
Well,
na
so
No
lang
so
tayo
as
worries.
you
No
sa
as
worries.
you
phone.
do that, I had a bunch of
Sorry
questions
about
as
that.
well for me. So I
Sure.
thought that was really cool, Erie. That as far as experience, getting on stage and
I
getting
enter
that
here in
presence.
phone.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about what really
There.
helped you. You had spit, you had stand up, you had radio. So how
Yeah.
did that help you for a career in hosting?
Well, I mean, when you're hosting, you're basically connecting to people. You're talking to people. You know what I mean? You connect. You engage. All of these things teach you how to do that. When you're in radio, to talk to people. When you're stand up, you're talking to people. When you're improv, you learn how to perform on the spot and be on your feet. So you get to prepare for any situation. These are things that I took the initiative to do, because I'm just like, if I do this, I remember stand up. I didn't get into stand up because I wanted to be funny, because I thought people who were funny were like had superpowers. I'm just like, I remember seeing certain people that were just hilarious, and I looked up to them so much. Like John Santos, I remember he did like a gig, and I was just like, this guy is amazing. He was like he was so funny. So I did stand up because I wanted to be a better host. That is basically the main reason for getting into stand up, because I was just like, if I'm funny, usually that's a really good thing if you're hosting. So funny host, you're entertaining. That's why I got into stand up. And improv was one of those things as well, because I'm just like, if I did improv, then I would be better on my feet. And I really, really looked up to funny people because I love making people laugh. So if you have that package when you're hosting, and that's the kind of host I wanted to be, I wanted to make people, if I can squeeze in like a nice laugh or a nice fun moment in between whatever event is happening, then that's a wonderful thing. So, yeah, that's how it helped me, because one, it gave me the stage time, and two, it teaches you how to engage with people, because not everyone can speak, but I think for me, the best hosts are the ones who are really, truly authentic and sincere on stage. Because you notice sometimes, Vince, you know this, Diana, you know this. There's that, that modulation voice, right? Like, hi, good evening, welcome. Like, hi, it's a beautiful day. Welcome to this wonderful event. Now, there's nothing wrong with that style, just to be clear. But for me, here's a question, Vince, Diana. When you're on the dinner table, do you modulate with your friends and family?
Oh, me no,
No.
not really.
No,
No.
exactly. When you talk to the people closest to you, the people that are you're closest with, you don't modulate. So,
Facts.
so why when you don't talk to people like that, right?
Yeah.
So why are you doing it with other people? Why are you
Correct.
modulating, right? So for me, I think how you sound at the dinner table with the closest people is for me how you're supposed to sound when you're talking to other people.
Ah,
And I
fair
think
enough.
I think that's it, right? That's it. Like you don't
Hosting
talk to
tips
your
right
mother.
there.
Yeah, you don't talk to your mother that way. You don't talk to your best friend that
Mm,
way. So
mm.
for me, how you talk to people is how you should talk to people. And it shouldn't change when you're on stage. It changes because you get intimidated because of the fear, because of insecurity and anxiety, because it's a really nerve wracking profession to be in front of people all the time. And the mindset that helped me with that is you have to think you can't. Everyone says this, but it's really, really hard to take to heart because you have to reflect and be honest with yourself. You have to think about the event, the objective. It can't be about you. When you have thoughts like, I have to sound good, I have to deliver, I have to think the client thinks, oh, they laugh, so I sounded good. That's very I. You have to
Mm.
truly be there to serve and create and help other people achieve something, or it has to be bigger than yourself. Because when you don't, then that's when I think you try to look good, you try to sound good, you try to think. It's not the healthiest mindset for me, or for me it's not the best mindset when you're really truly there to serve and create value for other people and help an objective happen, or help an event be successful, or just anything bigger than yourself. If you shift that mindset, I remember years ago when I was thinking about this, I was the normal thing. I was thinking about myself. I was thinking I have to do, my voice sounded different. And when I truly thought about, what really, when I shifted my mindset to really think about the event and making it successful for other people and not thinking about myself, I probably became at least 10 times better, that by just shifting that mindset. So for
Facts.
me, I think the best hosts have a true willingness to serve and create value for other people, and I think that goes
I
for
feel
all
like
industries.
Yeah, I feel like that's just life advice as well. Other than
Yeah,
hosting, 100%. I went through the same revelation when I was hosting.
yeah,
When I started making the event more important than me,
yes,
I felt like I started becoming a better host as well. But I feel like in life as well, they say the more you
yeah,
give, the more you get. So I think that's both
absolutely.
hosting
But
deep
it's
advice there
more
from Erie.
obvious. Yeah, it's more obvious with hosting because you're speaking,
Correct.
you're the one
I was
with the
gonna,
mic, so it'll reflect in how people feel. Like
and
hosting
people
is
think it's
something
a
you can.
performance,
Yeah,
diba?
it's
So
there.
are you
It's some it's
performing or not?
You can't fake it. If you're
Mm,
inauthentic, if you're there for yourself and not others,
correct.
people will feel that because you have a mic. They hear you. You're talking to them. You're not singing. If you're singing and you don't have your heart in it, maybe you can kind of hide it because you're good, right? But when you're talking to people, either you either the audience is gonna feel it like, this person's not really talking to me, or you know
Yeah.
what I mean, this person's really not there to, they're there for the, you know what I mean, when someone's talking to you, Vince, Diana, right, and they're not really
Mm.
talking to you,
Listening.
or
Mm.
they like the sound of their own voice rather than really just talking and listening back to you, right? You can feel that,
Yeah.
right? Imagine if you're in a mic with like 100 people, you are put into that microscope, that place. When you step in front of people, people will know it, and that's why hosting's so hard to fake. If you know either you people really feel that you're connected with them, or they don't. But so that's why I think having a healthy mindset with hosting
And that's
truly
very
truly helps.
important. That's
Yeah,
very important to mention because a lot of people think it's a no talent thing. It's easy. Anybody can host. It's not true.
no,
That's
it's very
not
hard.
true. to be honest with you, like I've been doing this for 15 years, and to
Yep.
be 100% transparent, the moment that I feel most comfortable with what I'm doing is the
Mm.
past 2 years.
Mm.
So
There you go. Just
yeah,
two
I
years.
used
Yeah.
to,
That's
yeah,
that's
for
actually I appreciate that. I think that's
yeah,
actually true because it takes a while to really know who you are on stage and
yeah,
to get through that insecurity and to get through that whole, yourself over other people, right? You know what I mean? It takes
yeah,
a while to really be comfortable. It takes honest reflection, and not everyone really honestly reflects with themselves.
yeah. That's true. Well, I got cut off. My internet has some problems, so I
No worries.
missed a little bit of our conversation. But I was going to talk about an experience also that I was sharing, that I think that will be good for people listening right now if they're interested in becoming hosts. I had this experience that if you think, oh, I'm not good enough yet or whatever, always remember also the fact that it's extremely important what he's pointing out here about your relationship with other people regarding you getting that job. So a lot of people take it for granted who they have to be in contact with, and don't fake that shit. Like,
Mm.
sorry, we can curse here because it's a podcast.
Yes. Oh, that's
So
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
great.
yeah. So like, don't fake that shit. Like, and don't also be. It's very important. It's gonna show talaga. Like, always be yourself, and
Mm.
I think that goes for anything. But at the same time, don't take people for granted. I have this experience where I was dealing with someone. We were co-hosting, and that was years ago. That person is more famous,
Mm.
more famous, very big, and the person didn't know who the client was.
Mm.
So the client comes in and then shows up like if you're judgmental, you would not judge him as the client.
Yeah.
So the person didn't like, just treated that the client in a different way.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who the person was. Also, I didn't know his client or not. I think this has very much to do with our EQ, not the
Yeah.
IQ, but the
Yeah.
EQ, because like it's extremely important if you're a host that you know your EQ has to be there talaga.
Yes.
Kasi you have to mind this. So at that time, so from my experience, I really treated that person nicely, and I had zero intentions. I was just being myself.
Yeah.
Next event, tanggal yung super sikat,
Yeah.
and ako yung kumuha just because of how I treated certain people at the set compared to how other people would, you know what I'm saying? And with
Yeah.
that, I got more experience, and then I got like, oh man, I'm lucky. Like I felt to myself like I'm lucky because I'm normally already programmed this way. Like
Yeah.
I do treat people equally, but if I came from an upbringing where it wasn't like that, maybe nasisi na rin ako sa trabaho ko. Gets mo? So it's really
Yeah.
important that people understand that. They have to understand every little aspect of being on stage. It's not just being there and performing nicely or speaking nicely. Like you said no, in the beginning, you talk well, so people are going to invite you eventually. But it's not just that; it's a whole
Yeah.
entire thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
what you're saying there is, don't treat. I think focus on building relationships rather than just trying to find the next job, right? I think that's
correct.
always, that shift for me help as well. It's all about relationships. I think business is all about, Vince. You know this. It's all about relationship. It's creating
Yeah.
relationships with people. It's
But I'm
um
single now, so I.
hey, man, hey,
Oh,
but
Vince,
you have a lot of relationships though. Hey, you're good.
Vince.
Um, uh, but I mean, if you look at engagements, kasi I guess what do you call it? Yung opportunistang that sort of perspective. You look at dealing with people with like, I should treat you right because you give me work. Then
Hindi
obviously
ganun eh.
that's not a very healthy mindset because I mean I've always been that way as well. I just treat everyone the same. If anyone, you should really have respect for people in production because they work so hard, because I do respect people that grind and work really really hard. I've known the editors, the cameraman, everyone in my industry, and it's honestly they're a pleasure to work with because an event is always a team effort. But yeah, I think it's really all about building relationships rather than just
Mhm.
people want to work with people they like. and enjoy working with.
Yeah,
And
Oh,
if you treat them
yeah.
like they're just an opportunity to get work, then people wouldn't want to be around you.
so
But I
And
mean, it's not just for getting work. It's just I think people who are like that will eventually just be happier because you
so
know, I mean,
it,
look
it's
at
a golden rule.
yeah,
It helps with work, but you should just live like that. You should just
yeah, you
treat
should
people
really just
nicely.
live for that, not
yeah,
just for
Like
work. It's just that's just how it is. I mean, treat people like, just
yeah,
relationships.
but
it's
It's
most
not just to
specific,
get work.
the reason why I really wanted to point this out is because I think people who are aspiring to be on stage for whichever reason, they always worry too much about exactly what you pointed out,
Yeah,
how their performance will be without being themselves. And at the same
yeah,
time, remember that being yourself is also being kind, which is really important to everyone, like golden rule, yeah, like
mm-mm.
Vince is saying. And I have a question for you, Eri.
Sure.
How did you, because I shared now the past 2 years, like for me, even though pandemic, the hosting thing has been like, I guess probably because it's like, sige, this is what I do for a living naman, like entertainment. And of course, it's
Mm.
easier to go on stage and just entertain, period, without
Yeah.
hosting, because
Yes.
it's faster, it's easier,
Yes.
it's like you're playing, right?
Yeah.
And like you can put on a show, like you said, it not necessarily all the time people are coming from their hearts when they're doing that. But when it comes
Yeah.
to hosting, yes, you really have to give your heart to it, give
Yeah.
everything. Like people don't understand also, for the aspiring hosts out there, that a lot of people, they invest so much into who they're getting, and that matters a whole entire thing for the whole event, like
Mm-hmm.
who you are and who how you're treating everyone, not just how your performance is, but even like the moment you arrive there on time, be on
Mm.
time,
Yeah.
know
Definitely.
what you're about to talk about, know the
Yes.
company you're working with, find out what are the things that they like, not because like you're going to be like, oh, I know you like, hindi ganon. It's
Yeah.
something to share so that you're also relatable.
Yes.
um what are the other, like, later we'll ask you for major advice, but
Sure.
when you started working, I have a question for you. When was the time that you knew that you knew everything about what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? Like you
oh
said,
that's
okay, this is the turning point where I could actually teach people how to
Oh
be
wow.
what I
I think when I the point where because there are a lot of people that came before you, right?
do. Mm.
And when you can really teach people and just I was very very conscious about that because I think you can't just be like you're there for like the first 3 to 5 years and like this is how you host, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're a bit fresh, right? um
Mm.
I think I felt that I got a little bit I believed in it. I think I was confident that I basically can earn the right to be able to do that when this I got featured as the number one wedding host in the country by Wedding Bow Singapore. So they because there was a top 10. I checked. I was like, is this the top? Or is this, and they put me at number one. And I was like shocked. I remember that. Um,
Nice,
so
congrats.
when you get featured that way, I was just like, wow, that was I was surprised. I was out of the country. I was hosting in Malaysia. Um, and when I saw that, I'm just like, oh, that's a really cool. Maybe I can now maybe share a bit because I felt like I've earned because I've been acknowledged
Mhm.
uh, for uh, for what I do. I felt that I think was one of the turning points when I was like, I think I could kind of share tips because I never did it before that. I was just like, because I like sharing tips on what makes a good program or hosting and all of those things. But I was very very conscious of when I did that. Even now, I still think I'm learning, but I do
We are
share when
always
people
learning.
ask. You're always you never stop, right? But that was the point I think when I got acknowledged by
When
the
was
Wedding Bow
that?
Singapore. Oh my God! Wait, let me check. It was a few years ago. I would say 4 to 5 years
Nice.
ago. Wait, let me see.
Nice.
Wedding Bow SG Neeman.
It's okay.
yeah,
Just,
no need there. We don't
it's
need the
okay.
exact date. It's all good. A few
I'm
Yeah,
years
just
yeah,
ago.
taking
yeah.
notes
No,
for
no,
for
but
our
yeah,
guests. It's
yeah,
okay.
but it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's
we don't need the
Okay.
basically what
specifics
happened.
on that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't need
Okay.
the
We
specifics.
are
Just
running short
look,
on
I'm taking my notes from
Yeah.
your
we
from your things, because later we're gonna do a little review on everything. I mean,
Sure.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
we are
Yeah,
running
we're
short, so oh, go ahead, D.
yeah. No, go ahead. You're right. We're 35 minutes on.
Yeah, we get to the point where we need to ask you to show us the money.
Yeah, I
How
got
is
it.
the financials in this industry?
Yeah, how's the it's oh, it was 2016. There you go. Um the financials is, if you're starting out, I would say now you can, it depends, right? Like I remember my first gig was like I got paid like 2 to 3K. That was like 10, 15 years ago for an
Okay,
event. You can probably make that amount, maybe 3 to 5, I would say, per
as a
event.
beginner.
If you're starting out, but that obviously scales. Then if you build a big enough reputation, you make maybe 7 to 20, 70 30 per event. But I would say the biggest ones, the top ones, the ones, because if you're the best, or if you're the top in any industry, you can make a lot of money, right, Vince? Like
Yep.
in any industry, if you
Yes.
are the top 10 in that category, then you have the opportunity to really demand a fair price,
Okay.
in any industry. So if in hosting, you can make as much as 6 figures per event. That's per event.
6 figures per event.
Yeah.
Would this be like a televised event, maybe, or not
it's
even?
it, it can just be a big event. Yeah, it can just
Wow.
be a
Yeah.
big event with thing. You can make that much. Yeah, you know this, Diana, right? You can make
Mhm.
a very significant amount for hosts, especially
Yeah.
for celebrity hosts. Man, those guys,
Mhm.
those guys make they can make a lot per event. It's just, it just comes in the nature of how much money is poured into an event. Like an event
Okay.
has a budget of millions. Like, they just put so much in terms of putting together the renting the equipment, renting the venue, renting all of these things. Brands do have marketing budget. Like they do have a budget.
Yeah,
So
they
When
do.
when you get to this top level of hosting, do you need
yeah,
an agent, or for you, do you still do your own bookings?
I do my own bookings. So far, for there is a lot that do need an agent. Especially if you're not, because I enjoy the business aspect of it. I like kind of dealing with, I there's not, but not
Clients.
everyone is like that. I like dealing with clients. I like building relationships. There are a lot of other hosts who are like that as well. But if you're the type that just wants to focus on your craft and wants to have someone basically build relationships, handle the business part of you, then having an agent and a manager will definitely help. And I think most do that. But you have to also bear in mind that sometimes just because you have a manager doesn't necessarily mean that you will get work, because maybe
True.
you deal with people better than the manager does. And then Diana, you probably notice, Vince, you probably know this as well. If the manager deals with people not as good as you, or maybe they talk to
We
certain
can.
people a
Yeah.
certain way, you'll actually lose work. And I've heard
I
this
was gonna
quote
say
before:
that.
they love the talent, they don't like to deal with the manager. I mean, because the
Mm-hmm.
manager talks to them in a way that's just not, people don't want to be spoken to or talked
Yeah.
down to. So you have to get someone who also understands. If you're going to have a manager represent you, then you do have to see how that person engages with people. Do they build relationships and, manage and engage and connect with people you potentially will work with well? If not, then it's almost a good chance that you can lose work, before you got that manager.
I have one last question before Diana gets to her summary and her final question.
Sure.
But for me, it's I like backtrack again to for beginners getting into
Yeah.
it. I liked how you to build your craft. You did improv. You did
Mm.
stand
Stand up.
up. I think that helps out. Do you recommend that for people newbies as well, or do you recommend other things as well?
You simply just have to get on stage.
Okay.
However way you did that. For me, the reason I did stand up is because I wanted to be funny. I wanted to be
Okay.
I had an affinity for, like, I loved making people laugh, and I wanted to learn how to do that better.
And
But
did
if
they
that's
actually
not,
teach you that? I know improv. There's improv classes for stand up. Is
yes.
there? Did you do a stand up
No,
class?
man, there's none. They teach you, yes, but you just really have to get in there. Either you kind of are built for it or you don't. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
You just have to get in there, and, like, if you're not funny and if you can take bombing and keep going, then maybe you have the heart for it. But either I think when you're funny and have that knack, it's either you have it or you don't, right? I think you really have that gene or you don't. Improv, I think, would be more beneficial because it teaches you how to work with people and it teaches you how to think on your feet. I think more a stand up will get you comfortable, and if you want to be funny and see how jokes are structured and how a set is structured. But I think improv, which there's this started this group called Third World Improv. It's an improv school. Get into that. I mean, I think improv is a wonderful foundation for hosting. It really, really, I think, helped me. So if you want to do that, that's a wonderful way to get on stage and work and just kind of develop how to think on your feet. But at the end of the day, you just have to get on stage as much as you can. Host, offer, keep going, build your reel. But at the end of the day, you really have to have the heart to want to serve and create value for other people. If you have that, if your mindset's that, you're not even going to worry about how to interact with people because you're really already part of that objective because you have that mindset. Just really be there to make the event successful. Everything will fall into place because you are part of the process of making something successful. If you think about yourself, then that's where problems are probably going to come out because no one wants to work with someone that is in it for themselves and not what everyone else is working towards to. You know what I mean? Having the true heart to really be there for the event, something bigger than yourself and serve will make you, I think, already put you in a very, very good spot to keep getting work in the future.
All right.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So I'm
Go
gonna
ahead,
do a
Diana.
very quick summary. Yeah. So basically, for everyone, kung kakatutok nyo na lang dito sa aming podcast, well, we're talking with Eri Neeman. He's one of the best hosts ever, I would say, since he's been, yeah, for the Philippines. We're very proud to have him here. We're very privileged to have his presence here on our podcast because I'm sure a lot of people will be inspired now to take this route of hosting, but knowing something better than just like knowing that they have the talent or knowing that what they want to do. It's not all about yourself, and I think that's really important. Well, for those who are just listening to us, he's been doing this for 15 years and he was 10 years in the entertainment industry. He does this for major celebrations like weddings and other celebrations that you guys have, big events, esports, and all these things. And if you want to be just as professional as him, you can actually earn up to 6 figures, which is amazing. But of course, you got to start small and you got to start with experience as well. You have to put yourself out there. Just throw yourself on stage. Just do what he's telling us to do. If you didn't catch the full episode, go back a little bit, rewind a little bit, and you're going to see everything that he's talking about is pure knowledge. So thank you so much for being here with us. But I would like to ask you one last big advice you would give for all of us here listening and watching, and also even for me, since we're in the same industry. What is the biggest advice you would give for someone who would like to be just like you?
To be a host, um, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I would say having you really have to one set a standard. I think it's really important if you really want to get good. Look at the top in that industry who are truly the best. It doesn't even have to be here and be it doesn't even have to be uh, local. It can even be international. Who you feel are the best hosts, and aim to be able to be just as good as them. Because I think if you set the standard for skill, then at least if you have a high ceiling, a high standard of how good you want to be, even if you fall a little bit short, you'll still be good enough. You know what I mean? I think that's important. Don't compare yourself to other peers. Just at the end of the day, your biggest competitor is yourself, because other people have nothing to do with your growth.
Yeah.
You'll always keep pushing yourself, always grow. I'm 15 years, a little bit more in this industry, and I still think there's so much to learn about hosting. And at the end of the day, when you're on stage, it's so easy to be conscious about yourself and to be insecure and to think about yourself. At the end of the day, all those things melt away when you focus on something bigger than yourself, which is the event, other people, and truly being there to serve and provide value for others. If you have it that way, things usually fall into place.
Amazing.
So
True.
deep, so deep. There you guys
That
go.
is so
Uh,
true. I love
I
it.
think this was both a podcast on hosting and life. I feel like just
It does help.
basic.
It made me a better person, honestly, when I shifted.
I, I completely agree,
Yeah, I think with
so
all of
and
us.
it was extra interesting for me because like I said, I had the same revelation
Mm,
when I started making about the event than myself. But I think it
yes,
takes a while to grow into that because
it
you are
takes
nervous
Mhm.
years.
in the beginning, so you're
It
too
takes
worried about
years.
yourself.
That
Takes
fear just comes out, and it's normal. Here's the thing: it's normal to feel that way. Don't think that you're not,
Yes,
you're failing. When you feel
yeah,
conscious in yourself, you go through that over the years. It's not something you get like, I Aries said you have to do this, and so oh my god, I'm
yeah.
thinking about myself. What I do? Then you tend to overthink. Go through all of that. Go through all of that. That is normal. We all went through that. People who could you usually grow into that mindset rather than just you in a snap you're that way. I mean, it's normal to be conscious when you're in front of 150 or 1,000 people. It's normal. You just have to grow into that sort of perspective.
the
And be
advice from
confident
the
too.
titos
Yeah.
and titas of hosting.
Man, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. As deep as it sounds, Vince, it's so true. That's exactly how, like, I totally can relate. You know what I mean?
So
Totally.
Erie, in case there are people tuned in who are getting married, who are going to have their big event, or who want to get more advice from you, where can they reach out to you at? Where can they find
um,
you?
all my social media, my handle is at Eri Neeman on Instagram, Facebook,
Follow you right now.
and TikTok as well. I love making people laugh, so that's what I actually did. I built my own platforms. So my TikTok actually it actually did very very well.
This one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
We'll
my
follow
IG.
you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, and if you guys want to see my professional background, you can check out my website erineeman.com, or you can get in touch with me via email host at erineeman.com. That's all there on all my social media. You can get all my contact details there.
So if you guys were about to have an event and you found out about Ari here, well, you're welcome because we just hooked you up with amazing hosts. And Ari,
I
we're
appreciate
expecting
it, Vince.
our finder's fee
You get
commission in the
5%.
mail.
Yeah, I get
So
you. I get
Ah,
you.
grabe.
You get a Christmas. You get a Christmas present. Don't worry. I got
so
you. I
there you
get
go.
you. I get you. I get you the latest board game, Vince.
That sounds good to me.
There you go.
So
Eri,
hey,
sana you'll have a teaching seminar or something, a
ah,
webinar coming
damn.
up for people.
I'm thinking
Meron?
eventually in the future to do that. I'm honestly thinking to do that via Skillshare because I think that's like a really good way to do it, right, Vince?
Yes,
Because
still
I
share.
think
Yeah.
It
make it
is.
more accessible to people. I think that's like a more effective way to do it. But yeah, I'm thinking of putting a Skillshare in the future. Oh my god, I said it in public. I have to do
Ah,
it now.
yeah.
Okay
There
lang,
you
you
But
go.
have
yeah,
to do it.
but I might have to do it that way, and that's what I'm thinking if ever I do it.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, we're way over the time. But thank you so much, Ari, for being part of
Thank
our
you.
podcast, for giving both
Thank you.
life and hosting tips for the beginners out there and those looking to make talking and leading an event into a possible career. So thank you so much. So my name is Vince Galanco from
My,
wheninmanila.com.
my name is Diana Menezes.
eh, Together with
Thank
our
you.
amazing hosting expert and guest, Eri Neeman. This was the Young Money Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.